Hey, Don Lock, we're Real World Outdoors here, and today I'm working on some guns, and I'm putting a new sight on my Glock Model 22 40 Smith & Wesson. I love 40 Smith. In fact, I have three handguns right here, and they're all 40 Smith. I just love them. They shoot fantastic, so I stick with that. A lot of guys use 9 mils and stuff like that, but I like 40. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to replace the front sight, and I'm going to replace the rear sight. Problem with Glocks is they got really cheap plastic front and rear sights. They're just plastic. They're garbage. They put the money and time into the gun itself, and they don't put any money into the sights whatsoever. So I'm going to be changing them out with True Glow's TFX Pro Series sights. What they have on them is, it's kind of cool. They're built for a day and nighttime use. You can see the green on the top here inside the holes, and that's fiber optic. Inside the front area here, there's a little capsule on each side. It's called tritium, and it's actually a radioactive material, real small dose. Sure, you won't want to eat it, but what that does is it glows, and these are warranted for 12 years that they'll stay glowing. And what they'll do is they'll light up your front fiber optics at night or in the dark, and that's what you're looking for. The fiber optics are good during the daytime, but at night they're useless. There's no light gathering ability. But with the tritium capsules in there, they actually cause the light, so those fiber optics glow. The front sight is the same, set up the same way. As you can see, it's got a fiber optic here inside there, and then it has a tritium capsule in the front also. Again, these are warranted for 12 years. They're supposed to last roughly that long. We'll see if I last that long, if they're still glowing in 12 years. I'll mark it on my calendar. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this 22 Glock, and we're going to take the slide off, and we're going to get ready. And what you need to get to do this properly, some guys use a dowel and a hammer to remove the sight. That's fine. To put one back on, though, you need a little bit more finesse. You don't really want to be banging on a very expensive set of sights, and you don't want to break that capsule that's inside there. So the parts and pieces that you're going to be needing for this setup, it's a rear sight vise, and this will move your sight. It'll move your sight on the back, left and right, and it'll slide it off your slide of your handgun. It'll hold it in real solid, and you won't mar and scar. This one actually has two plastic holders on both sides, so it won't mar the side of your weapon. And it also has a plastic piece on top that pushes down on the top of your slide, holds it in place. And then once you got her in there, you'll just take this and you'll crank this handle, and you can see that slide to my right, and it'll slide your sight right off the top of your slide of your weapon. Also, what you need is a specialty tool for your Glock, and this will remove that tiny little screw that's up inside here for your front sight. There's no other way of getting it off. It's a very tiny little screw, and very, very low profile. With the Glock, it'll give you one of these. Used with the Gen4 Glocks only. It's a very small little screw, so it's not very deep. Doesn't have a lot of threads, so you don't want over tightness when you do put it on. And of course your sights. And some Loctite. I use the blue Loctite. Don't want to overdo it with red and not be able to remove it or adjust your rear sight when you want to. And this particular rear sight comes with an Allen wrench set screw, so you can hold it in place. It's pretty tight when you put it on, but that'll hold it in place when you're shooting, and it won't move. So let's get going. I'm going to take off the slide. I'm going to put her in a vise, and I'll set it up, and I'll show you what I'm doing. All right, now that I have the slide locked in, this holds it down from the top. These two guys right here tighten them up from the sides, and I have the remover, the jaws of the remover just to the top of your slide so it doesn't scrape it. And now what you want to do is you just want to turn this handle As you can see, it removes that front or that rear sight nice and easy. You don't have to bang on it, pound on it, or nothing. If you're doing a few of these, it's kind of nice to have that. These plastic ones slide off pretty easily. Once you have that off, you take your little tool here, pull that off. Now you'll see this particular side has a little piece of metal shim on the bottom. It helps it, you know, because it's plastic, to hold it in somewhat solid to the Glock. And take that, move it off to the side, get rid of that guy. And now you're all set to put on your rear sight and put that on. So let me set that up. All right, now that I got the new rear sight on, I just slid in there and I push in there until it stops. Do it with my finger until it won't go anymore. And that's pretty much right where it's at, right there. It's not going anymore. Now I'll just take this. As you can see, it'll start sliding over. And I basically just eyeball it. Center of the slide. Some people think these sights go on nice and easy. They actually don't. They hold pretty good. Now I'm going to eyeball it here. Alright. I got it right where I want it. I'll back this off a little bit. Take the top, loosen that up. The sides. Move that. There we go. And there we go. We got our rear sights on. They're all good to go. Alright, so after I got my rear sight on, I'm pretty happy with the placement of it. It looks like you might have to go over just a hair to the left. When I'm out at the range, I'll be able to take a dowel, hammer if I want, but I will take my vise out with me and I'll shoot, and I'll move that over to the left or to the right, whatever I need to once I'm at the range. You can get them really close by just eyeballing them for right now, but you definitely want to get it to the range. You want to shoot it, make sure everything's good to go. All right, last but not least, the front sight. Like I was telling you about this special tool, this is where this comes in handy. Again, that little screw down there is pretty small and it's flush. So you want to get this in there. And takes a little bit to get the right. There we go, snapped in. All right. And these are pretty easy. They're just in plastic. It's a metal screw in plastic. Yay. Alright, so once we got it done, there's a screw. Front sight pops right out. Get rid of that. I'll put that screw with it because down the road, if I decide to get rid of this weapon, I can always put the original factory sights back on and keep my nice new sights. Alright, so now I'm going to take this front sight and I'll slide right in that hole. It does go left and right just a hair, you know. Otherwise, it's pretty darn good. So I'm gonna set that up, and I'm gonna take out my little screw from my package. Let's see, I'm gonna rip it open, but actually I can reuse that little package. Boy, oh boy! If I had fat fingers, I'd be good to go here. You know what? Just as easy doing this. I think. Alright. I'll get a Ziploc bag and we'll be good to go later for my parts and pieces. Alright. Here's my screw. I'm going to take this, which is really nice. This one's actually magnetic. There's a couple on the market that are not magnetic. Magnetic helps. Alright. So I'm going to take that little screw, put it in there, set that up. Good to go. Alright. Take front sight, hold that down, and then we got to get this started. But actually, before I do that, let's get our Loctite going. This is only going to be one shot deal, and then I'm not going to do it again. Just put a tiny, tiny little drop on there. You don't need much. It doesn't matter if you smear it up a little bit. You can wipe it off afterwards. Alright. there's not much room for clearance in the sucker. All right, I'm gonna snug it, just not tight, but snug it. Then I'm gonna look at my front sight, and on my particular gun, I have 2 ports, and hopefully when they built the gun, they did them uniform. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take, the sight doesn't have a lot of movement, but has just a touch. And I'm gonna make sure that is, I'm pretty anal about things being perfect, so that looks good for me. And if it looks good for me, then I'm good to go. Alright, I'm going to take this and give it a good snug. Don't over tighten it. You don't want to do that. You'll bust it, and then you're going to be buying a new set of sights. So there you go. You see that right there? Perfect. Got my front, got my rear sights, put my gun back together, I'm good to go. And I can go out to the range and shoot her. Does have, if I could find it here, Allen wrench. Does come with an Allen wrench, and that will torque down your Allen head, your set screw. I'll just give it a little torque right now, just so it's not going to move. And that's pretty much it. Go side her in, move it over, do what you got to do. Remove that screw, put a little drop of the blue Loctite on there, turn her back down, you're good to go forever. Alright, hope you enjoyed that. This is Don Locke. This is Real World Outdoors, and I'm going to get back to playing with the rest of my guns and do some more fun stuff.